Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call, Mr. Toth.
Yes. Mr. Bral Patel.
Here.
Mr. Romano.
Here.
Ms. Peng. Ms. White. Mr. Schneider.
Here.
Mr. Rivera.
Here.
Mr. Vishal Patel.
Here.
Ms. Anja Patel. Mr. Lugo.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Opening statement, Mr. Toth.
Okay. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Public Law, 1975, C. 231 Sunshine Law, the Edison Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board of Education Administrative Office. Copies of these notices were sent to the Star Ledger and the Home News Tribune.
Thank you. Next up today we have is budget presentation, our famous 0% tax increase. This is the fourth year in a row, and we'll speak more about that. And the presenter is our wonderful BA, Mr. Toth. Go ahead.
All right.
The floor is yours.
Hold the applause.
Go down.
It's going to be easier to be better than that. Hands down. They usually don't let me talk.
Folks, we appreciate your time. Tonight is not only a celebration of student success, but also the success of 9 individuals and volunteers that we have up here in concert with our administrative team in the process of, thank you, of developing our annual budget. So it's my pleasure and privilege to present this to you for this evening, and I promise this presentation will be good enough to criticize. So before I begin, I would be remiss if I did not introduce the 9 individuals that play an integral role in the development of this budget. These volunteers are intimately involved. They donate a tremendous amount of time to not only make sure that the district is run well, but are also a dedicated group of professionals. This is a professional board that have great opinions and great insight, so I do thank them for all they do. We would like to acknowledge Mr. Biro Patel. We have Mr. Romano, our vice president. We have Mr. Brian Rivera, Board of Education member. We have Mr. Lugo, Board of Education member, Ms. Anjana Patel, Ms. Shannon Pang, as well as Mr. Schneider. Mr. Vishal Patel, thank you so much for the work that you do each and every day. It is greatly appreciated. So tonight's presentation, we're just going to provide a brief overview and introduction to the following. We're going to do new programs and initiatives, new personnel to support programs, and then Mr. Toth is going to kind of get into the nuts and bolts of the piece. We're going to be reviewing budget process and calendar, revenue and appropriations, as well as our capital improvement projects, which we have a ton of going on currently right now, and last but not least, the estimated tax implications in relationship to our constituents right now. One of the things that I want to keep in mind in that when you prepare any budget, whether it's a school budget or your home budget, the purpose of a budget, it's a financial representation of what you value in your home as a school district, as an organization. Your budget speaks to exactly what you believe is in the best interest of family members, students, staff, all participants within the organization. And where you spend your money says what's important to you. And I'm happy to say that each and every single item that is listed in this particular agenda says what's important to us, and that is student achievement. That is staff well-being. It is student safety. It's being financially and fiscally responsible while growing programs and addressing our needs. In certain cases, it could be overcrowding. It could be infrastructure. It could be technology. All of those pieces that contribute to the success of our students. One of the key pieces and one of the things that we're actually going to drive this mission and focus is our strategic plan, which has been really kind of, we're at the tail end of it currently right now. And our strategic plan will guide our vision over the course
of the next 5 to 6 years. It will determine where we put our money, what we value, and how we're going to accomplish that. At this point in our strategic plan, we've already developed our pillars. We're focusing on infrastructure. We're focusing on financial stability. We are committed to growing programs and pathways for all of our students so that they have the very best education that there is to offer. Engagement, and that is a campaign where we bring our group and partner with parents, moms, dads, members of our community, developing strategic partnerships, and also ensuring that our messaging is reflective of what we do as an organization, and also to hear your voices as well. Wellness, both student and staff wellness was paramount. That is something that came out of all of our survey data. It is something we're committed to and focused on moving forward. And we're really proud to not only do that from a mental health standpoint, but wellness encompasses physical wellness, safety, financial wellness, all of those pieces. We forget about that complete umbrella to make sure that we're addressing it for all of our students as well as our staff members as well. And last but not least, the portrait of a graduate. What we deem to be important and what we want to make sure that every student that walks out of our high schools that have continued our path, whether you are in from K to 12 or 11 to 12, this is what an Edison Township public school graduate looks like. I can't tell you how happy we are that we are almost in the culmination of this process, because this is what we value. This is what we value as an organization. And the way that we're going to demonstrate it is that we're going to post it. We're going to post our goals. We're going to make measurable and actionable steps to achieve those goals. We're going to put dollar amounts as well to show you what we value and where we're spending our money. And here's just a couple program highlights that you have to look forward to that are not only in this budget, but also part of our strategic plan. We have our preschool expansion program, which is something that we can really be proud of. We have our Edison Success Academy. We are looking to encapsulate our intervention program, interventionists, to deal with all of our students, not only from an academic standpoint, but from a social and emotional standpoint as well, from a wellness piece and behavior, guidance counselors, increased opportunities for college and career pathways for those students that may not have a four-year path. We want to make sure that you have a viable understanding of what there is to offer after you get out of high school, and make sure that we set you on the right path. That's providing internships, that's providing access to programs that you may not have or you may not look for after your time here in Edison Township. We want to make sure that we have all of those pieces ready for you. Some personnel highlights here, and these are just some of the quick components right now of where we are going to invest our capital in our staff. Preschool and Success Academy teachers and coordinators, interventionists and coaches, school counselors. We are also super proud of the dual language program and ELL program we have over at Washington Elementary School. Last year was our first year and met with huge success. So as we continue to grow these programs, we want to make sure that they're properly funded so the students in those settings are meeting with success. And last but not least, we also want to make sure that our leadership capacity is continued to growing. We're looking at a vice principal over at Edison High School right in this very building. We're at the final stages of this process in concert with Mr. Ross as well. And this is really where we can kind of hang our hats on, and the impact that the budgeting process as well as the funding sources, not only from the local tax levy but also from the state, really kind of where the rubber meets the road. So that's my portion of the presentation, and now the dollars and the donuts and the decimal points, I will turn over to my colleague, Mr. Toth.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do you know how hard that is to follow this guy when public speaking? Like, I just not as good as him. But then again, he's a doctor. What can I say? All right, so our first screen up is our revenue screen. This is the local tax levy. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about this screen, some more than some of the other slides. If you look at line A, that's called the district adequacy budget, which is $326 million, okay? The local fair share, which means what we raise from taxes, right, by property tax, is $260 million. And those are numbers that come from the DOE. So our general fund levy is $235 million, okay? So our actual operating budget is $353 million. So when you look at 326 and our budget being proposed for FY25 is 353, we're well over adequacy. However, when you look at our fair share, right, what we're supposed to be generating in taxes is $260 million, and we're at 235. And coincidentally, because of this board and prior boards that were here before I was here, it's remained flat. How are we closing the gap? Well, with all that extra state aid we're getting, right? You guys all know that. This year, we got $97 million in state aid, which was roughly $20 million more than last year. Now, of that state aid, $20 million will be used for capital outlay, along with some additional reserve money. The remaining state aid is using to close the gap on our operating costs. So this is our revenue, our tax levy, our state aid, and others. So you could see last year our FY24 budget was $346 million, now we're at $353. About a $7.1 million increase, just over 2%. Largely that's because of that $20 million in state aid that we got, more than the previous year. Had we not gotten that money, this budget doesn't look this good, and we might not be at zero, but we're lucky that we are. Okay, I got to go down. This is appropriations on the general fund. So this is the categories by which the operating budget, the different items fall. So you could see the first line is in general instruction, bilingual, co-curricular, extracurricular. You could see the columns on the left to the columns on the right. There's increases across the board to the tune of about just over 2%. This budget has an increase for a new teacher's contract, along with an increase in healthcare. Every building principal, who was a big part of building a budget, right? So the elementary school principals, middle school, and supervisors, all of their budgets have been increased so they can allocate funds for new co-curricular programs or things that they want to do in their building. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for the students this year. Capital improvements. This is what we as an administration and the board have discussed in committee, and some of the things that we're going to be doing with the extra money that we've budgeted from state aid, along with money that we saved in previous years through capital reserve. So if you look at this, there's a litany of projects. I love that song. Thank you. Dr. Tui, everybody. There's a variety of projects going on all throughout the district. Some of the smaller ones, you're going to see bathroom renovation work at different school buildings. We've heard that the bathrooms have been old, and we're taking steps, right, to do sets of boys and girls bathrooms to fully renovate them, make them nice, new, modern, and best of all, working. We're going to do some parking lot work, paving, science room renovations. We're doing science rooms. We're going to be doing new ceiling hallway work, gym painting, new gym floor renovations, exterior lighting for safety. And we have a rather big one down there. There's $30 million allocated for projects that align with our long-range facilities plan. And some of those projects, like you've heard, because you've been part of the other meetings, JMI, Classroom Edition, Marshall, Classroom Edition, and so on and so forth. That's part of the plan that was built prior to me being here, and this board, the previous board, the board before that, we're all carrying that plan forward. So a lot of exciting things going on here, improvements to infrastructure, improvements to buildings and equipment, which is good for the students. This is the total budget by fund. So your general fund budget is $353 million, less your anticipated revenue, that's your state aid and other. You'll see your tax levy at $235,013, which is the same as, I think it's the last, Jared, help me out, 3 years? 4 years? 4 years, 4. Special revenue fund is your grants and entitlements, right? IDEA, NCLB, which is now called ESSA, Dr. Tui? Yep. Yeah, you failed my class for not paying attention. Thank you. Non-public funding that we get from the state for our non-public schools that are in our boundaries. and entitlement grants. So that's money that's obviously it's not raised by taxes. And then we have a small amount of debt service money that was left over from a financing that will be used, transferred, withdrawn from the debt service reserve and put into the general fund for operating use. So if you look at the total of all our appropriations, general fund, special revenue, special revenue and debt service, we have a $367 million budget, along with a $353 million operating budget. Estimated tax impact, and I say estimate, but I feel pretty good about it. On a calendar year, the current calendar year levy is 2023 for school funding purposes. The school levy was $235,531,918. That number comes from two different fiscal years in the school year, much like 2024. So you'll see the school levy for 2023 versus what 2024 is going down by $518,750. That's due to debt service payments that we no longer have because prior boards didn't take on debt and they paid off debt and they refinanced debt. So yeah, there we go. So valuations are up. Current valuations are about were last year, calendar year 23, about 7.3 million. They're now up to about 7.4. So you're up 38 million. So that's good. We like valuations up. Everyone's value is worth more. The average home is about 183,000, which is up 1,000 from the previous year. So if you look at the tax rate, the current tax rate from the calendar year 23 is 3.191. Due to the debt service payment dropping off, it'll now be 3.168, a reduction of about 2 cents. And when you apply that to the average home price, or what we think, I think the average assessed value is going to be about 1,000 more. Your school taxes should go down, just the school tax portion, by $11 over 12 months. So I think we're in a better spot than other places whose theirs are going up. You guys have continuing to trend down. So I wanted to take the time, I wanted to thank everybody that's been a part of doing this budget, all the board, along with committees, building principals, supervisors, the doc, the central administrative team. I asked for a lot more input from principals and supervisors, which was maybe a change from before I arrived, but they rose to the occasion, and through that we have a really, really good budget. So thank you.
Just give a couple of minutes for Mr. Toth, who just worked very hard to present this whole thing. The whole 350 million plus was presented in a matter of minutes. So you can imagine the impact that goes around. So once they settle down, we'll start. But in the meantime, if we have any public comments on budget, anyone from the public? Any board member comments on budget? Saying none. Last call, any public comments on budget? None, because people often say that it's a $350 million budget and there's transparency and stuff like that. So the budget was presented today. Mr. Toth did a wonderful job presenting it, so thank you so much. Dr. O'Reilly, you chimed in and helped a lot make it shine. So that being said, we will now file a motion to approve our 2024-2025 school budget. May I have a motion?
Mr. Barrow, motion to accept budget 24-25.
Mr. Romano, any second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Schneider. Roll call, Mr. Toth.
Mr. Lugo.
Yes.
Patel's absent. Mr. Vishal Patel.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Schneider.
Yes.
Ms. Peng.
Yes.
Vice President Romano.
Yes to approve.
President Patel.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. So now the 0% tax increase has been approved 4th year in a row. And that being said, thank you. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to our April action meeting. Tonight, we gathered to pass our annual budget, which we just saw. This marks, once again, the fourth consecutive year of Edison's School District's 0% tax increase, ensuring that for 4 straight years, this board and the previous boards have delivered a budget with 0% tax increase. So the Edison residents have not seen an increase in their portion of the school taxes from 4 years now. This achievement is a testament to our commitment to financial responsibility. It has been an honor to be the part of this board and the budget process for the last 4 years now. The increase in the state aid is one of the huge and major factors to the Edison School District over the past 4 years. That's the reason it helps the board to achieve this significant milestone. It's perhaps historic and unprecedented. We extend our gratitude to our legislators, particularly Assemblyman Rob Karbinchuk, for his ongoing support and dedication to the school district. Although our budget has increased this year, and that's a fact, which it does every year, a significant portion of the budget is allocated to capital and infrastructure updates. These investments are crucial in addressing the overcrowding crisis and improving our facilities. As we strive to remain fiscally responsible, we must also be very mindful of the potential future reductions in the state aid and the importance of maintaining prudent budgeting practices. Let's work together to prevent wasteful spending and control unnecessary expenditures. It has been a pleasure for me in last few months or maybe couple of years to learn about Civil Air Patrol. I first learned it from Councilman Ajay Patil, who is here with us today. So thank you so much, Councilman, for being here. And we learned about this program from several of my friends and several students. And it is beyond excitement to bring you guys here today to present and inform people about your wonderful program. So we are looking forward for your presentation and learning more about the work that you do at J.P. Stevens. We also have a Boy Scout presenting this evening, the troop number 17. So we'll hear from them as well. Last week, I attended a Girl Scout cleanup project led by senior patrol troop leader Ruhi Desai. They worked hard to clean up the Thomas Edison Center at Menlo Park, the Memorial Tower. Great job, Scouts. On our agenda today, we also include a resolution to proceed with adding classrooms, a gym, and a cafeteria at John Marshall Elementary School. Once approved by the DOE, we can move forward with bidding, and if all goes well, we may be able to achieve this project within the year. We also have plans for James Madison Intermediate School, JMI, which have been approved already by the DOE and is ready to go out to bid. Discussions about this project are ongoing in the Buildings and Ground and Finance Committee. Our Superintendent, Dr. Eldarelli, and others have launched an ad hoc culture and climate committee, and this initiative serves as a platform to gather ideas and brainstorm solutions to continually improve our school's climate, continually moving our district forward. And the first meeting for that is going to be tomorrow, right, Dr. Eldarelli? Right. Yeah, so we look forward to that, and we'll have more updates in the next board meeting. Next week, Monday, 6th of May through 10th of May, is Teacher and Nurse Appreciation Week. We express our heartfelt thanks to all of our teachers and staff members for their dedication to the students' growth and success. Their hard work, determination, and passion continue to shape our future generation. We also thank all of our nurses for their exceptional care and support for our students' health and well-being. Their efforts create a safe, healthy, and learning environment for everyone. And last but not least, it was a great honor to attend the DEI showcase and the YPAR showcases, where our students shared wonderful ideas and talents about innovation. Great job to all the students who participated. And thank you to all the staff members and everyone who involved in putting both of those together. And I cannot stop here if I don't give credit to Heather Daniel, who always helps out, write this wonderful script. So thank you so much, Heather. Right, that being said, I will pass it on to our rock star for the night, Dr. Aldarelli.
All right, thank you, Board President Patel. I'm going to keep my comments brief. A lot of the events that and touch points that our Board President talked about, I just really echo the sentiments. I had the opportunity to visit YPAR over at Woodrow Wilson. Compliments to the building level administration as well as the supervisor, Ms. Marasco. What a wonderful job. Partnership with Rutgers, civilly engaged district project, really demonstrates the innovation that we have here in Edison Township. I also had one of the best parts of my day is when I get out on the sports field or have the opportunity to get into classrooms. But I was actually invited to the New Jersey Band Gala this weekend. On Sunday, it was at Trenton State it was one of the halls in one of the theaters there. I forget it off. It's Kendall Hall. Absolutely beautiful. We showcased our wind ensembles there for Edison High School. I think went on at like 2:50, 2:30. My wife and I attended, and then we went at almost 7 o'clock for J.P. Stevens. I mean, what an unbelievable event. Not only demonstration of talent throughout the state, but obviously, as the superintendent of schools, I'm partial to our group too, and I thought they shined the best out of everybody. So I do thank all the music department at both high schools for the invitation with that, and please keep those coming. It was really a wonderful day. Just a couple other updates. We're in the process for the Board of Education of CUSAC monitoring. That is really a process in which the state comes in and looks at multiple facets of the organization and the operations in relationship to personnel, finance, governance, curriculum and instruction, as well as overall operations too. So I just wanted to give a shout out to not only my central office team, but all of our administrative staff who have been working diligently to prepare these pieces. It's definitely been a process, which is a good and reflective process. And it makes us look at our internal operations to make sure that we're not only compliant, but providing the best education that we possibly can. I've been out on the sports fields over the last couple of weeks. I've seen some Edison High basketball. I've seen some student cricket and club cricket events too, which has been absolutely fantastic as well. Extremely proud of both of our athletic directors for spearheading a lot of these major pieces that have been coming about and around. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the opportunity for our preschool expansion program, our lottery program. I believe closed started on the 20th there, Doc? Am I correct? March 20th? Lottery was March 20th, selection. Currently right now we're placing students, those students that are on the wait list as well too. We're, making sure that we're coordinating transportation, dealing with our our private partnerships, and really looking forward to not only the initial phase of this process, but obviously the end-all be-all goal in this is to make sure that it's reflective of the 2,000 members of the universe for preschool students that we hope to capture. So that is my comments for this evening. Mr. Patel, greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much. That being said, the moment we have been waiting for, Civil Air Patrol, the floor is all yours, and you guys can go ahead. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Education. Thank you so much for having us here today. My name is Satyam Shah. I'm a cadet lieutenant colonel in the Civil Air Patrol. I'm also a senior at J.P. Stevens High School. And today, me and the cadets behind me are honored to be here today to speak about our program and how we're able to contribute to the local community, as well as develop leaders for the future of this nation. So I'm representing, along with the cadets behind me, 166 cadets who are youth members in the program, as well as 40 senior members that are based at J.P. Stevens High School. And we have been here for around the last 6 years, and we've been able to contribute to the local community. So above all else, to start today's presentation, we want to start by thanking the Board of Education and everyone here that's been able to help us develop our squadron and be able to branch out to the community. So what is Civil Air Patrol? Back in 1941, the local members of the civilian community and the aviation community wanted to help out with the World War II effort. So Civil Air Patrol was created. Civil Air Patrol was initially a civilian way for people that were excited to help the armed forces help patrol the area of the East Coast. And in 1948, after the war had ended, Civil Air Patrol was chartered by Congress with 3 main missions: aerospace education, cadet programs, and emergency services. And today we're going to be talking about those 3 main missions, as well as what we do on a national level. Civil Air Patrol has the world's largest fleet of single-engine aircraft, which we are able to use to help out whenever the Air Force calls upon us as a total partner. And as we are the Air Force Auxiliary, we are able to help wherever we are needed. So I'm going to pass it on to Cadet Captain Thogru to talk about aerospace education.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cadet Captain Sanjana Thogru. I'm a junior at Rutgers Preparatory School in Somerset. And I've been a part of Civil Air Patrol for 5 years now. I joined back in 2019. And one of the most engaging parts for me has always been aerospace. It's the reason I joined. It's the reason I'm still in it. And in the Bud Jackson Composite Squadron, we have many facets in which cadets can express themselves via aerospace. We have interactive learning experiences, as every month we have a meeting dedicated specifically to aerospace, which have classes ranging from quantum computing, cybersecurity, military technology, and model rocketry, and much more. In these meetings, cadets can participate in many sorts of hands-on activities where they can code systems and even build and launch model rockets, my class. But moving on, we also have competitive programs where cadets can participate in programs such as Stellar Explorers and Cyber Patriot, which are 2 national competitions. And from our squadron, our teams have always placed 20% in their categories. In addition to this, one of my favorite things to talk about is orientation flights, which are very similar to discovery flights if you've ever been on one or heard of them. Cadets are allowed to go up in the air with a certified flight instructor from Civil Air Patrol and experience what flight feels like. And even though they don't get flight training hours, they do get to experience what it feels like to fly. On a personal note, if they are interested in getting flight training hours, they can participate in something called a National Cadet Special Activity, as I was able to last summer, and get about 10 flight training hours in an actual Civil Air Patrol aircraft. Now, talking about NCSAs, I'm going to pass the mic off to Major Senthilkumar to talk more about cadet programs.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cadet Major Yudhishpal Senthilkumar. I'm currently a junior at J.P. Stevens High School. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about our cadet programs. So our cadets get to learn a lot of things through our cadet programs, starting off with leadership and mentorship. As the cadets join the cadet program, they get the opportunity to go through 21 different achievements, and along each achievement, they get to create specific goals on how they want to improve themselves as a leader in aerospace education and through emergency services, which you hear from Cadet Captain Prem Kumar behind me right after this slide. Furthermore, they get to experience great mentorship from their cadet leaders as well as their senior member leaders, who are the adults, in order to provide them with the necessary advice and feedback that they can use in order to grow. Our cadets also learn self-discipline and responsibility through the form of PT, also known as physical training. Through this, our cadets get to take their PT tests, where they do things such as the pacer test, push-ups, sit-ups, curl-ups, and they also get to do a lot of other PT activities that make sure that they stay fit and maintain a healthy lifestyle. And this allows them to stay accountable for their actions and make sure that they're reaching those goals, along with the other goals that they make with their cadet leaders and senior member leaders. Furthermore, our cadet leaders get the opportunity to improve their confidence because, after all, they are leading a large group of cadets, like Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Shah mentioned before. In our squadron, 166 cadets, and throughout many other places, the same goes as well. Furthermore, our cadets get the opportunity to go through unique, challenging opportunities through the form of encampment, which is where cadets get to go to a base and learn everything that they need to know about the 3 corps of the Civil Air Patrol. And furthermore, our cadets get to attend National Cadet Special Activities, such as Cadet Officer School, where cadets from the grades of Cadet Second Lieutenant and onwards get to learn everything they need to know to complete the rest of the cadet program, along with the other emergency services, medical, aerospace, and cyber National Cadet Special Activities that are available to all of our cadets. And to talk more about emergency services, I'm going to pass it on to Cadet Captain Prem Kumar.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cadet Captain Sarvesh Premkumar, and I'm going to talk about Civil Air Patrol's mission in emergency services. The emergency services field is one of Civil Air Patrol's most integral parts. For example, Civil Air Patrol members are involved in search and rescue operations, communication strategies, piloting, as well as drone operations. Civil Air Patrol members have the opportunity to become trained in high-frequency radio operations, which is integral in the field of STEM, as well as achieving basic certifications in first aid and emergency medicine. Ultimately, cadet members are able to go through further training that allows them to become well-versed in emergency response. In fact, it's through the training in the Civil Air Patrol that has encouraged me to join the Edison Emergency Medical Services to further serve the Edison community. Ultimately, the emergency services part of the program is an integral part of what we do and exemplifies our volunteer spirit.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cadet Second Lieutenant Justin Moscartola, and in Civil Air Patrol, volunteering is one of the 4 core values. Everyone you see here today is not being paid to be here, but instead paying to be here. From buying uniforms to paying squadron dues, we're able to participate and help our community in many different ways. One way we do this is by aerospace education events for the public to help better their understanding of aerospace topics. This is done solely because of the location of our squadron. Since we are centrally located, we are able to reach out to different events such as the New York City Veterans Day Parade and Reach Across America in Elizabeth, New Jersey. But in Edison specifically, we have been able to participate in the Edison Memorial Day Parade for the past 3 years, and we have a team responsible for volunteering their time outside of our squadron meeting at the Menlo Park Veterans Home.
So our squadron has been here at JP Stevens High School and here at Edison for the past 6 years now, and we started off at JP with around 20 cadets in our cadet body. Ever since then, our cadet body has grown to 166 cadets, making that one of the largest units in the country. And out of those 166 cadets, nearly 80% of them attend Edison schools, whether that be the 2 high schools or the 4 middle schools. And over the years, we've had various open houses for the community to come and learn about Civil Air Patrol and also enroll into the program. And through these open houses, we found a lot of enthusiastic response from the community. And as we have more open houses as time goes on, we look to have that same enthusiastic response and figure out what we can do to better serve our community here in Edison.
In Civil Air Patrol, we strive to reflect the values taught by the armed forces. And as a result of this, we have many cadets that have graduated from Edison high schools and gone off to college with the intent to serve. As you see on the screen, there are cadets that are currently going to be graduating from the U.S. Space Force or are currently at universities and gain scholarships for their ROTC programs, which will ultimately put them in a position to serve this nation. Additionally, cadets have also earned congressional nominations for service academies, including myself and Cadet Moscartola, to hopefully go on and graduate from these schools and serve this nation. But not only are we contributing to how we're able to serve this nation, we also contribute and develop our students to be ready for the fields and college of academia.
A lot of the cadets who finish this program don't actually join the armed forces. Civil Air Patrol helps shape them in order to be well prepared for life. This can be to help them prepare for becoming the next generation of doctors, engineers, and IT computeristics, that they can become whatever they want, because Civil Air Patrol will help shape them with decision-making, ethical decision-making, and goal-setting mindset, which they will learn once they join this program.
Good evening, everyone. So you see my beautiful cadets, right? Like how outstanding they are. But without our senior member, they cannot do anything. So we need our senior member in this program, which we help cadets to learn all the programs about the cadet program, aerospace, and so on and so forth. Do you think like only cadets can get to fly? No, as a senior member, we can also get to fly. We can learn about how to become a pilot, how to become an ES specialty. So we need senior member, and without senior member, our program is nothing. So I would like to, whenever we have the open house, I would like more people to join as a senior member and help these young leaders. Thank you so much, all the education board, to help us and come here to show our presentation. Thank you so much, and good evening.
Dr. Eldarelli, I'll try very hard not to. Hello, everyone. My name is John Copperwise. I'm First Lieutenant, Squadron Commander of Bud Jackson Composite Squadron. I first heard about Civil Air Patrol in May of 1992 as a junior here at Edison High School. I went on to become a cadet, earning my initial, and their awards which made me a cadet captain. 2 days later, I transitioned to become a senior member because I aged out of the program at 21 and became a senior member, moved on, spent another few years here with Civil Air Patrol. After that, I moved on with my life, changed jobs, changed careers in the area that I lived, and I came back to Civil Air Patrol 6 years ago when I had a small unit, very similar to the one I grew up in, come to our school at J.P. Stevens while I worked there. It has been my honor and privilege to watch this group of young people progress and grow and become the leaders that we will have for our country in the future. Now, excuse me, I'm getting older. We came here tonight for a few reasons. Primarily, to thank you all for your support over the last 6 years. Our program could not have grown, could not have become what it is today without the support and enthusiastic community service response that has come out of this Edison Township and the surrounding communities. Okay. My eyes. Okay. The second point when it comes here today is to open the door to a conversation. In order for us to progress and grow and become more effective as a unit and an organization within the community, we need your help. And we need to, I would like to start that conversation, invite you all to join us in the meeting, see what it is we do on a daily basis as opposed to what we show here tonight on the slides, and start the conversation about what we can do to better serve the district and our area. The last step, and the reason we're here, is to give you a small token of our gratitude and our appreciation to all of you, because I'm bringing you up. This is a certificate of appreciation for your time and your support, and one of our unit patches as a memento of our unit and what we've done and how we've grown as a result of your support. Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We're here. Yeah. Any questions you have, we'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. Yeah, very nice.
Thank you so much. Really proud of all of you and all of your efforts. And thank you so much for being here today. Before you guys leave, please see Miss Daniel, Heather Daniel, so she can get some information from you to put in the newsletter. So again, once again, great job everyone, and thank you so much for giving us something. I have never, unless someone can correct me over here, did we get anything from anyone before? It's the first time the board members are getting something from the community, which is great. So we all are very thankful about this. So great job. Thank you. Yeah, very much appreciate that. Thank you. All right, next is Troop 17, Scout Troop. So you can go and speak, Harsh.
Good evening. My name is Harsh Lawan, and I am a Boy Scout from Troop 17, Edison Metuchen. And I'm a 7th grader from Woodrow Wilson Middle School. I'm currently a Star Scout, and I'm ranking up to reach Eagle Scout. Boy Scouts is a voluntary program in which millions of boys around the nation are living through, and we separate ourselves from the modern life and survive in nature. Many people know Boy Scouts for camping. However, it's not all just about pitching tents and building fires, but it's also about the independence and appreciating nature and the outdoors. This world is not a distant dream, but a reality experienced by millions of young boys like me through the tradition of Boy Scout camping. On these camping trips, boys learn to navigate through dense forests, to conquer towering peaks, and to cook their own meals over crackling campfires. But perhaps more importantly, they learn to navigate through life's challenges, to conquer their fears, and to nourish their souls with the beauty of nature. In the wilderness, every task becomes a lesson, every obstacle an opportunity for growth. Whether it's learning to tie a knot, to read a map, or to lend a helping hand to a fellow scout in need. Every experience shapes character and instills values that last a lifetime. But Boy Scout camping is not just about individual growth. It's about the bonds formed between boys who share the same spirit of adventure. In the glow of a campfire, stories are shared, friendships are forged, and memories are made that will be cherished for the years to come. Through the Boy Scout motto of Be Prepared, boys learn the importance of readiness in all aspects of life. Whether it's being prepared for a sudden rainstorm or being prepared to face the challenges of adulthood, the lessons learned in scouting lay the foundation for success in the future. In a world increasingly dominated by screens and virtual experiences, Boy Scout camping stands as a beacon of real-world adventure and authentic connection. It's a reminder that the greatest lessons are often learned not from textbooks or screens, but from the world around us and the people beside us. Extreme dedication is seen when scouts triumph over high adventure trips. These trips are higher level trips in which scouts go through rigorous hikes and survive for a week in tough environments. These trips are held annually, and next year, our troop, Troop 17, will be traveling to Sea Base in 2025. This is a trip where scouts survive on a boat for a week straight, and Sea Base is located in Florida, Miami, and many scouts love to go there from all over the nation. Sea Base is not the only one, however. Trips like Philmont are often visited too, with many hours of practice, as scouts are expected to hike from 50 to 100 miles in a week's time. Northern Tier is another high adventure trip in which scouts survive in a mountainous terrain and where they travel with a guide for a week and try to catch food. Scouts also commonly go on backpacking trips. This is a singular night trip where scouts hike around 10 miles and then come back home. Activities like swimming and other skills like first aid will always stay with the scout for their entire lifetime. Our troop loves to host whitewater rafting trips, in which a scout travels on a raft with several fellow scouts on a high-class rapids, which may end up giving airtime. Scouts also spend a week every year in something called summer camps. Scouts, they cook food for a week, and they take part in many activities and gain merit badges. Scouts contribute a lot to the community as we participate in community services for hours, and scouts can have almost 100 plus hours in pure work just for the community. Earth Day is a national day, and scouts take part in it and clean up their communities and places that require cleanup. Scouts, upon achieving the rank of Eagle, are required to take part in Eagle projects, which is often done to provide quality life to people in our community. It is a project for the benefit of the people, and it increases the quality of life for the people. Scouting also has merit badges. These are advancements in which scouts get to research and learn about different fields like law, culture, science, engineering, sports, economy, personal management, and many more. There are more than 130 merit badges that can be obtained in the adventure of scouting, each earned to represent a scout's determination and dedication. Scouts are all allowed to work together and continue their lifelong journeys. Scouts like us spend many hours helping the community and ultimately the entire nation as a whole. Scoutmasters, which are adults that have gone through their own experiences, help the newer scouts and show them the true meaning of what being a scout is. Scouting is to find good in every boy and to develop it. While working on the Citizenship and Community Merit Badge, I got a chance to interview Mr. B.L. Patel, and he invited me to speak out loud about scouting to our community. Thank you, Mr. B.L. Patel, for giving me the chance to speak.
Thank you. Thank you for being here and educating everyone about the Scout. Great job. Right, next up is our Edison High School Secretary, Mr. Vedic Upadhyay.
Good evening, Board of Education members and public. My name is Vedic Upadhyay. I'm the Secretary of Edison High School Student Council and today's representative for this meeting. Our boys volleyball team recently beat St. Joe's, who are 11th in the state, and crosstown rivals JP Stevens. Their current record of 13-4 is the best start in program's history. We are incredibly proud of them and hope they will continue succeeding. Last week was the Class of 2026 Spirit Week. Monday was Monochromatic Monday. Tuesday was Tropical Tuesday. Wednesday was We Wore Pink Wednesday. Thursday was Tie-Dye Thursday. And Friday was Friend Group Friday. We hope this Spirit Week continues to foster school spirit at Edison High. Student Council also had a Battle of the Classes event, which consisted of an airplane contest and egg hunt, at which the juniors won. Edison High School Rotary also had their annual trivia night on the 24th, and UNICEF held their annual blood drive today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is JP Stevens Corresponding Secretary, Ms. Rena Robinson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rena Robinson, and I'm the Corresponding Secretary from JP Stevens High School. Since the last Board of Education meeting, our student body has partaken in many events through their co-curricular activities. Recently, our music department, featuring band, choir, and orchestra, flew to Orlando for a trip to Universal Studios. The Bottle United Nations Club recently attended the Cornell Model UN Conference and won the Best Large Delegation Award. Furthermore, the Odyssey of the Mind team had participated in their state's competition, and some of our teams have advanced to Worlds. We have also taken many strides to promote inclusivity within our school. As part of this initiative, our DEI team, our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion team, attended the conference at Woodrow Wilson Middle School, as previously mentioned, and they gave presentations to students from all 4 middle schools. Additionally, our theater team performed the musical A Chorus Line last weekend, pulling off a wonderful performance and having a great turnout. In addition to these events, the spring sports are in full swing, with our boys volleyball team doing great this season, with the JV team winning the Bloomfield Invitational Tournament and remaining undefeated until recently. Our boys tennis team won their last game against Old Bridge with a grand slam of 5-0. In spring track, we had a strong start by defeating Colonia 69-53 and have continued with that fighting spirit. Moving on to student council matters, we have just concluded our student council elections for next year. And we have also hosted our new event, JP Stevens Family Feud, which was also held at Woodrow Wilson Middle School on April 26th. We recently had the spring prep rally, and in the coming weeks, we are preparing for our BOTC event that is near the end of the school year. We are also continuing our BOTC mini games during lunch periods to help us foster school spirit. In the last one, we had played a game of 7-Up, or Heads Up, where each grade had a team which had to find the quickest words possible. Overall, JP has been conducting many events, and I hope the board has gained a good perception of JP's current affairs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Next is public comments on resolutions. Guys?
Thank you. I just would like to say kudos, and I'm very proud of the young people who came up, and I love that you know, in your sports, and everybody seems to think that our kids are just involved in just the phone and stuff, but you make me proud when you come up and we have our people that are in air traffic, you know, because all those things, we need pilots and stuff. They say they don't have any pilots since the Vietnam War, so we need people to get into that area. And I'm very, you know, just very, very pleased with them. I myself was a Girl Scout, okay? So I know, and the traveling around and stuff, but I sleep in the cabin, not in the tent. You guys can have that at all. But I think it's very good, and I think you learn a lot of good morals, and I think you do a lot of great stuff for the community. And also, I like the fact that these young men and women go out to the veterans place and make the veterans feel important, because they need us to support them, because they supported us when we needed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Shi?
Joyce, you forgot to say your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jerry Shi Edison. I just have a question for the finance resolution, item number 4. There are 11 items that's being granted to Academy Construction. If you add the total dollar amount, it's about $2.4 million, $2.5 million. So that's a lot of money. And these are summer projects. Why we're not going out to bid? And, give this to one company. We have 4 architects that can write specs. We have 4 right now on record. They can write our specs. This is, you can't start any of this job until June 19th anyway. We have time. So I would urge the board to table this and try to bid it. And also I have a question about item number 5, and also part of the resolution about JMI. I thought the multi-purpose room renovation was part of the JMI expansion project. Correct me if I'm wrong. So why it's here? And also, if JMI is being renovated, there'll be construction trucks coming onto the property. And where are we building this turf field, which is number 5? So if you go to J.P. Stevens, the parking lot is like a crap. So I asked multiple times to get it paved. The answer is construction is going on. But if JMI construction is going on, unless the truck is coming from the back of the McKinley Street, where are we building this artificial turf? And again, this is a co-op. No bidding. $200,000. Okay. Number 7, the video wall for the for the academy, Edison Successful Academy. If I remember correctly, our staff built the video wall in J.P. Stevens in the cafeteria. I'm pretty sure it's less than $153,000. So can we consider that to have our own staff do it, like what we did in J.P. Stevens? It's a lot of money. And also, item number 9, the renovation of the Success Academy. $500,000 for roof, $1 million for renovation. I understand that it's going to the same academy construction. So if you add the 2 items together from the number 4 and number 9, it's $4 million. $4 million going to one company. Okay? I know there are companies that you like to work with, but $4 million going to them without bid, it's a little bit too extreme to me. I know you need to get the Success Academy done. I can understand you can give them the interior construction, but Academy Construction is not roofer. They're not a roofing company. So if you give them the roof, they're gonna outsource it anyway. So why don't we work direct with our roofers that we have worked in the past several years? We have worked with multiple roofers. And I don't know what is the total square footage of this roof for $500,000. Just to give you guys some background information, it should be somewhere around $35 to $40 per square foot. So this is for your calculation. And number 12, for custodian supply of contract of $500,000. So what is this that we are getting, from this, spruce industry? Do we have a list of these items that it's costing $500,000 right now? So those are my my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Shi. So, Dr. Eldarelli, I would like to, from what Mr. Shi pointed out, JMI, so I know we are contemplating and discussing within the board. So can you explain about the JMI portion of this from Mr. Shi's question?
By the way, sorry, you have a meeting next week. You can discuss it and come back again next week.
That one's the turf is for the courtyard, correct, Mr. Toth?
Accurate, yes.
Yes, I'm not sure the parking lot piece, but the turf is for the courtyard in relationship to that.
Okay, thank you. So, but if there's anything...
General repairs to the parking lot.
But we can revisit anything that is with the JMI, anything that is included as a part of the plan that we are going to review and potentially, if it passes, to make sure there are no overlaps of anything. So let's review that. We need to take a look at those plans for the JMI.
Sure.
'Cause this is the first time I'm seeing that too. Unless you want to answer any other questions, I'm going to move on to next board meeting. Anyone else? Public comments for resolution? Saying none. Motion to add public comments for resolution.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Next, we will do a motion to approve personnel report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Right. Roll call, Mr. Toth.
1 second. Mr. Lugo?
Yes.
Mr. Vishal Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera? Yes. Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Ms. White? Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot she's absent. Hopefully you're feeling better. Ms. Peng?
Yes.
Vice President Romano?
Yes.
President Patel?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is motion to approve administration, curriculum, instruction, pupil services reports.
Like to make a motion?
Mr. Romano, second.
Second.
Mr. Vishal Patel. Roll call, Mr. Toth.
Mr. Lugo?
Yes.
Mr. Vishal Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera? Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Ms. Peng?
Yes.
Vice President Romano?
Yes.
President Patel?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Now, before we go to the finance reports, thank you, Mr. Shi, for the comments. From the finance reports, I am putting a motion to table section 4, 5C, award for a cooperative purchasing contract to academic construction, and table 9, cooperative purchasing contract to academic construction for roof replacement and interior construction. Table section 4 and section 9 of 5C from the finance report. I need a second.
I second that.
Mr. Vishal Patel, second. Anyone has any question, any board member about this?
Yeah, I have a few actually. Jerry, you missed. I'll tell you that. You're very thorough in the stuff that you look at, so I appreciate you bringing that up. Trying to get back to this, and it's freezing, so just give me a minute. Me and Chris were talking about some things.
Yeah, I want to say thank you too. I missed it too, but the number looks too big not to go for bid, so we should look at it before we vote on it, so, thank you.
I'm sorry, it's freezing.
So anyone has any concerns about the table? This is tabling, means we are not voting on that item today.
Well, I wanted to ask questions. I know we used Academy last year, and I agree with Jerry. We used them for the bathrooms, and I believe they did a pretty decent job. So
You are agreeing with Jerry, or you are saying they did a decent job? What
I
is your
speak,
point?
it's my time.
Okay, go ahead.
So thank you for bringing that up. So I do agree, there's a lot of work being offered to this particular company. So my first question is, do they have the manpower or the capacity to even do this?
Yes.
Yes? Do they have, like the other thing I agree too, I think they did, we all agree they did a pretty good job with the bathrooms and stuff like that. Do they have the capabilities of even doing roofing? That's actually a very good point.
Yeah.
So they're qualified to do all this work?
Yeah.
Because I know we did a cooperative purchase agreement with them last year when we did the bathrooms. And I know we use that process a lot to get things done. My main question is, if we put a pause on this, is this going to hinder us to be ready in September?
Well, there could be the potential for that, yes, right? So anytime you delay anything in relationship to construction, right, in relationship to the bathroom, summer projects, things along those lines, the Success Academy has a start date of September 1st. So it could delay it, correct.
But don't we have a finance meeting like tomorrow?
Right, so we don't have a finance meeting, Vishal, but we have a board meeting next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So when we are tabling now, we are tabling this in this meeting. We cannot predict what's going to happen in the future, but at least today, my position is to table this agenda, this number 4 and number 9, because the amount total of amount for this one company is something that I'm personally not comfortable with. And you seconded the motion.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
let's see who else.
I want to save money.
Yes. So for this amount for one company, I'm not comfortable with that. So we are tabling. This motion is to table 4 and 9. So we'll just want to check with the attorney. We'll motion the 4 and 9, and then we'll do a roll call for the rest of that, right? No, 4 and 9. Right. Okay. So roll call, Mr. Toth.
So real quick, to be clear, on the contract portion, 5C, I have a motion to table item 4 and 9. Is that accurate, Mr. Patel?
Yes, I'm putting a motion to table 4 and 9, unless someone else has anything else.
I'm saying 5 too, right, about the GMI thing, because,
We
why are
will
we
do
doing that as a
separate motions, or?
That's fine.
Okay, so let me put 4 and 9, and then you can go ahead and do 5 if you'd like to propose that motion. So this motion is to table 4 and 9 out of section 5C, finance.
Okay.
This keeps freezing. I can't read it. Where am I going? It just keeps freezing on me. There it
So
is.
there's 4. If you scroll, there's 9.
All right, thank you.
Right, so-
Roll call, Mr. Toth. Yes, we are doing a roll call now.
Mr. Lugo.
4. Hold on, his was frozen too.
Sorry.
4. Just 4 and 9, you said?
4 and 9.
We're 9 for right now.
4 and 9. So it's just Academy Construction. I believe the issue is just the cost, the amount of money. I'm abstaining.
Yes, the roll call has started, so Mr. Lugo. We are only tabling 4 and 9. This motion is to table 4 and 9. We are not talking about anything else in finance, right?
Oh, no, I know, I understand that, but are we going to have an answer for these next Tuesday?
Correct. We intend
Because
to.
I don't want to take
For
the chance
tonight,
of.
the way table works is an attorney can chip in, is we are not voting on it tonight. Just for this board meeting, we are not voting on number 4 and number 9. That means table, it will be out of the agenda.
Sir, you had a chance to comment. Will there be another chance to comment? Okay.
So Chris, if we vote yes on tabling, it will not be a part of the agenda today. Now, we can work as a board to move forward with it after today. Whether we do bid or whether we go with this company, whether we go with same amounts or whatsoever. Today, we need time to digest this or look forward to it or anything else we do. But at least for today, we are not voting on it.
I think worst case, we can still approve it next Tuesday.
Right. That's always a possibility.
Yes.
Mr. Vishal Patel.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Snyder.
Yes. I'll vote yes next week, too.
Ms. Peng.
Yes.
Vice President Romano.
No.
President Patel.
Yes.
Motion carries. Table 4 and 9.
So I want to put a motion to table 5C as well. I mean, we are doing the GMA as a whole, while we are doing the, turf as a side project. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Vishal Patel, Mrs. Peng.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Vishal Patel, second by Ms. Peng. Table item 5C5? Yes.
Roll call, Mr. Toth.
Yes. Mr. Lugo.
Yes.
Mr. Vishal Patel.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
And I'm sorry, because this keeps freezing. Why are we tabling number 5?
So,
Sir.
Yes.
Sir.
Sorry, it just keeps freezing on me.
Do you need?
That's okay. No, we got it.
Sorry about that.
It's good, we voted.
It's a roll call, so Brad.
He said yes.
Yeah, I
what's your
said
take?
yes already.
Yes, okay. Next.
Noted. Mr. Schneider?
I'm a yes next week, and I suppose I count, to pass this, it's 4 votes? Or 5?
5.
Whatever, your vote is yes, right?
Oh, I mean,
Who is next?
I mean, sure, yes. Because I
Majority.
think it's going to be 4. You don't know? It's 4, right?
it is 4.
Yeah.
So-
Yes and yes, yes.
Ms. Peng?
Yes.
Vice President Romano?
No.
President Patel?
Yes.
Motion
Alright.
carries.
We will now go for motion to approve all the finance reports. Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Vishal Patel, do you have a second? I'll second it. Roll call, Mr. Toth.
Mr. Lugo?
Yes.
Mr. Vishal Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Ms. Peng?
Yes.
Vice President Romano?
Yes.
President Patel?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Toth. Next up is committee reports. We'll start with Building and Grounds Committee report. Our chair is Mr. Doug Schneider.
Okay, Buildings and Grounds Committee met on April 23rd. It was myself, Biro Patel, Joe Romano, and Anjana Patel. We met at the board office, and we talked about a bunch of summer renovations, which may or may not happen. I hope it happens. I'm a yes vote on Tuesday to make them happen, but everything that we just tabled was discussed in that first part of the meeting. The next thing we talked about was some change orders, and finally, most importantly, there's 3 projects that we're most excited about. This is continuing our Phase 1 report, Phase 1 project from a couple of years ago, which our board and previous boards have worked hard on. JMI, James Madison Intermediate, and John Marshall are in dire need of some help. So we're trying to figure out some financing mechanisms and making sure they're already down at the division of the Department of Education. And we also talked about Edison High School. Personally, I would really love to see this building get just as much love as all of the other buildings are getting. If you recall, in our building projects, Edison High was part of Phase 2, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't start getting that ready now. So we need to move that forward by starting the planning. I know that last year's board worked hard on some designs with the architect, and we need to dig into those, continue those discussions, and that's going to be something we're working very hard on this year. So we have 3 main projects we're working on amongst all these other renovations and maintenance things that we need to work on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Next is Transportation and Vehicular Circulation Planning Committee. Mr. Lugo, you are the chair, and you can read the report.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The Transportation Committee, we met on Monday, April 15th, and it was myself, President Biro Patel, Board Member Vishal Patel, and Board Member Virginia White. We started our meeting with just a general overview of the current state of the department. And currently, we're looking at the department having 46 drivers and 16 aides. And the department is currently looking at next year's routes and contracts and evaluating what we could take back and what we could approve upon. And we're going to be looking at bids for next year that'll go out in May. In addition, also the department's working with Dr. Tui's team and working on supporting any issues with the extended school year. The department is also continuing to add students for subscriptions as seats become available, which is first come, first serve. And there are some challenges that were recognized and are being worked through. One of them being noted in the meeting of only 30 minutes in between the tiers, the busing tiers. And that creates a challenge of going back and forth. Subscription busing was addressed, and the department will continue to promote the use of the parent help desk for information, and that's going to be imperative moving forward for obtaining any information that parents may need for transportation and other board related things. The applications for busing will open on May 1st, 2024, and will be open through June 30th, 2024. And the payments will be collected prior to placing the students on the bus. So the students will not get a bus pass if payment is not yet received, prior to these dates. The fees will remain unchanged, and that was also discussed, and the district will revisit and review the impact of the street index and what that has had on subscription busing. The stop finder and the applications and the camera status were also discussed, and these are only used that are on buses that are district-owned, not any vehicles that are subcontracted out at the time. And then for the cameras, we're waiting on 2 or more quotes prior to the approval and installation of these cameras on our buses. And last but not least, there was an update for the transportation for preschool, and the transportation department is currently working with Dr. Tui to secure the transportation needs for those students who were selected through the lottery for the preschool program. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Logo. That was our first Transportation Committee meeting this
Yes,
year,
sir.
and very good one.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is Curriculum, Technology, and Student Achievement. I'm the chair. We had our meeting on April 17th at 5 o'clock in Knight Center. Mr. Rick Cohen presented new courses. The committee discussed 2 new course proposals, Esports and Spanish Communication and Culture 1, and including the course summaries and objectives and rationale behind those courses. The next step will be for the administration team to plan out the details and logistics of the courses for the board approval in the near future. Mr. Rick Cohen and Heather also presented Varsity Tutor usage report, how it's being used, and it's pretty impressive. So thank you for spearheading that last year. The usage report for the on-demand platform, a free platform provided to entire district without any cost. It's 24/7 chat tutoring for all the students to provide enrichment courses, help, and review essay, feedback, self-study offerings. The usage reports reflected very good use among middle school students across the 4 middle schools. Comprehensive promotional efforts across all aid levels will be provided to the kickoff for the school next year. So, thank you. The next is Township Liaison Committee report. Mrs. White is not here.
President Patel,
Yes.
Ms. White asked me to read her report, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Township Liaison Committee meeting was held on Tuesday, April 16th. Virginia White is the chairwoman. Anjana Patel, Brian Rivera, and myself were in attendance. Also in attendance were Mayor's Chief of Staff Bob Deal, Council Liaison Chair John Pointer, Dr. Aldarelli, Dr. Huss, Dr. Tui, Pat Kassan, Heather Daniel, and also Fire Chief and from the Office of Emergency Management, Andy Toth, Councilman A.J. Patil, and we began our meeting with Chief Toth and Pat Kassan. They reported on the donation of bleed kits for our schools. All of the schools now have a bleed kit through the Office of Emergency Management. Mr. Kassan stated that our school nurses and security would receive Stop the Bleed training the next day, which was April 17th. At that time, it was right after the earthquake, which was interesting for everybody, I'm sure. And Chief Toth stated that the earthquake impacted only one school, and that happened to be Wardlaw Hartridge. So that's still in Edison. So that school had one shattered window. All of our schools seem to be okay. Chief of Staff Bob Deal provided updates. 7 new police officers were to be sworn in April 17th at 11 a.m. They are increasing police presence, and a substation is set up on Oak Tree Road due to burglaries in the area. He also announced a celebration of Eid scheduled for April 20th from 3:30 to 7:45. That was a very well-attended event. In addition, J.P. Stevens graduate Pallavi Sharma published a book entitled Edison. It's a fictional account of Asian Indians coming to the north end of town 40 years ago. It's realistic fiction, and the book launch is scheduled for June 4th at the Edison Tower. The cricket pitches will be maintained by the Board of Education, but the rolling will be done by the township. Dr. Aldarelli clarified that maintaining means picking up trash, cutting grass, anything of normal scope of what our grounds would normally be maintained. And lastly, Mrs. White asked for the status of the master plan. Mr. Deal stated that the next meeting is potentially set for May 21st. The mayor's office will have an update on the status. A revision was presented in March with modifications based on feedback to the planning board. And Councilman Pointer stated that a sustainable Edison update is forthcoming. He asked a question regarding the demographic study by the Board of Education. Dr. Aldarelli shared that the demographer presented trends at the last Board of Ed meeting. The South End appears to have a future increase in enrollment. Several North End schools appear to be declining. The administrative team is confirming that the plan takes future development into account. Dr. Aldarelli also updated the committee on the status of the Strategic Planning Committee and its 5 pillars. The Public Relations Communications Coordinator, Heather Daniel, apprised the committee of implementing communication systems, updating the website, and future plans for continued commitment to community engagement. Dr. Huss and Dr. Tui updated their departments. Dr. Tui gave us the status of the preschool expansion, which we heard about. Pat Hassan shared the police unity tour has been rescheduled. The new date is forthcoming. He also announced the fire department junior academy is in the process to be started. Mrs. White also informed the committee that the pedestrian activated crossing signs are in place at Old Post Road and Boulevard of the Eagles. That's a big one. So that would be the headline here. So we have pedestrian activated crossing signs at Old Post Road and Boulevard of the Eagles. That was something that we've been talking about in these meetings for quite a while. And Mrs. White reminded the committee that registration for subscription busing begins May 1st and ends June 30th, and the next meeting is scheduled for May 21st. Thank you. Submitted by Ms. White.
Right. Thank you. Next is Finance, Audit, and Oversight Committee. The committee met on April 23rd. In attendance were myself, Mr. Lugo, Vice President Romano, and Mr. Schneider. We discussed the change orders, TJ Capage, JP Generator, and JP Classroom from Bismarck Builders. We've discussed a shared service agreement. I want to highlight something here. The way my understanding about shared service agreement is, and this is just my understanding, our BA, Mr. Toth, is going to research further into it, reach out to the bond council, and get some more information and answers. But if township passes the shared service agreement or enters into a shared service agreement with the Board of Ed, certain facilities of the school district, such as a gym, such as an auditorium, can be utilized. The funding can be a part of the bond that township does, and school district makes payments over several number of years. So the way I personally look at it is, right now we have a good amount of money in capital, in cash, and we have some ability to finance, but we have a huge need to upgrade our schools. JMI, John Marshall, John Adams Middle School, and there is EHS also on the table in the agenda that we saw earlier. To upgrade all the schools, yes, people say that we got a huge amount of state aid. That is true. It's a good amount of state aid. It is still not enough to get every single facility in Edison upgraded. If we get more money, if more funding is available, we can upgrade every single facility, at least put forward plans to upgrade. What happens with this agreement is that dollar amount would be paid over time for several number of years, and our payments would go significantly down. So it's a helpful thing. So this is the first time we brought up that in the finance committee, and we have asked Mr. Toth, I have asked Mr. Toth to work with the bond council and give more information to the committee and to the board as a whole. So the board can look at shared service agreement. Of course, it will need council to pass a resolution potentially and work with the township, but at the same time, if we see the finances of Board of Ed, it seems to be a beneficial thing to do, in my opinion. The next thing we discussed is contracts and renewal. We reviewed the contracts, and the committee decided to go for bidding for paving, for boiler, and the committee decided to put on the agenda for substitute staffing, the ESS. Procurement, there was architect RFP done. There was an internal evaluation completed by our BA, Mr. Toth, and his team, and this will be reviewed in the committee in month of May. There was an attorney proposal received for certain work that Dr. Tuhi and his team needs. That was run by Dr. Eldarali, and the committee reviewed that. Health broker and risk manager RFPs are out there, which is not, the results are still coming in, it's due May 1. So we will have those in the future meetings. There was a discussion on the software application, RightSpot. Does something similar to what Spot Finder does. There are multiple applications. The committee discussed that depending on how many parents are using it, the usage is not very clear to the committee, and we don't have accurate data at this point of the parent usage. So decided to look forward in the future meetings. There was finance. Next is my favorite, communications, community relations committee. And this was one of the best meetings we had this year so far. The committee met on April 16th at Ed Center from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. right before the DEI showcase. So it was all wonderful events lined up back to back. In attendance were myself, Mr. Lugo, Ms. Sanjana Patel, Mrs. White, Heather Daniel, Dr. Eldarali, and Dr. Tuhi, with all the PTO leaders. And each school were asked to send up to 4 PTO representatives from their school. And in attendance, there were over 35 PTO representatives. So Ms. Heather Daniel, Director of Communications and Policy, welcomed the attendees, introduced herself. She provided a brief overview of community engagement and our strategic planning process, that is outlining the district's vision and goals. I was introduced to the committee. I introduced my fellow committee members to the committee, to the PTO leaders. Ms. Heather Daniel provided communication update about the parent reference guide, which the PTO found it very helpful resource. A recent webinar was highlighted, sharing key takeaways from and insights with the attendees. The PTOs were introduced to the administration team and the members of the committee, and the committee acknowledged all their efforts and hard work in the collaboration with the community. Communication department updates were provided. District meeting was scheduled for February 21 for the platform for ongoing discussions and community involvement. There was Dr. Eldarali's meeting with the PTO leaders earlier. Results from the recent website survey were presented, offering feedback and suggestions for improvement. Update on the district's website app, which is in progress, and very soon you will see in a couple of months the whole new website up and running. We'll put up a show for that. We'll try for that. So showcasing the latest features and the enhancement for better user experience. We shared Dr. Eldarali's famous district-wide newsletter called The Insider with the PTO leaders, and they were thrilled to hear about that, some of them, and seen that. And the best part about the meeting was Ms. Heather Daniel had an interactive session with the PTO leaders about the thought exchange. And the leaders were truly overwhelmed and very happy about how the process works. And the plan for the board is to roll out the thought exchange in different areas going forward, one step at a time, but really looking forward for that powerful tool to receive the input and discuss and work towards that. Next communications meeting was internal meeting on April 17th. In attendance were myself, Mr. Lugo, Ms. Sanjana Patel, Mrs. White, Dr. Eldarali, Ms. Heather Daniel, Dr. Tuhi, and Ralph Parka. The committee discussed improvement on help desk operations and efficiency, identified key areas for enhancing the user support and response times. Strategic planning was discussed and reviewed the engagement pillar, which is a part of the communications committee. Discussed strategies to increase stakeholder participation and satisfaction. Committee discussed chain of command and protocols, which will be rolled out in a couple of months. There was proposed adjustments to streamline communication channels and improve clarity across the district for several points of contact. I'll give you an example for that, and it's coming very soon, and I will be in a position to tell parents here, when they have a problem with the transportation, a Board of Ed member is not the right place to reach. When they have a problem with the transportation, they go to the transportation department, open a help desk ticket, and follow the process. So likewise, when someone says, okay, they don't teach anything in schools, first of all, I find the statement wrong. I think kids learn wonderful things in school. right? So again, Board of Ed member, at least I can speak for myself, is not the right place to preach, hey, you know what? They don't teach anything in schools. Well, no. What are you talking about? Right? So that's not true. So there are so many such gaps and things like that where, things are being miscommunicated. So there is a chain of command and protocols and who should reach out when. So like how we did the reference guide, the committee plans to put together a chain of command to help parents out, to point them to the right direction. So when they click something, when they have a question, and maybe Ms. Daniel is working on making it something more interactive, they will know, they will understand, learn from the website itself or that paper itself, who is the right person to reach out to and what is the chain of command. So the committee intends to work on that and implement that in the future. Potential future webinars were discussed and planned for July. Back to School Basics webinar was planned for end of August, and the transportation webinar was planned for after the school year starts in September. Committee discussed feedback from PTO communications meeting and agreement on the need to incorporate suggestions for ongoing improvement in several areas. That was all for the committee reports. I will now make it open for board member comments.
Mr.
Vishal Patel.
So I have a question on the curriculum committee. I mean, sometime last year, I know we were discussing offering some AP classes to the freshmen. Where do we stand on that?
So AP classes for
freshmen. I know Mr. Cohen was exploring some classes that can be offered to the freshmen. I'm sorry? I heard you say, he said AP Computer Science Principles. That's the new offering?
Let's do this. How about, so I know we did approve some AP courses, so you can email the curriculum committee and you can email myself, Dr. Alder and Vishal about all those AP courses, and certainly feel free to ask questions at the point and we can discuss that.
Thank you. Thank
no
you.
problem. Next board member, Mr. Lugo. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just want to make a comment to all the young people that were here earlier from the Civil Air Patrol and the Scouts. I'm sorry to see that they had left, but I definitely wanted to condone their efforts in participating in such organizations. I'm a big fan. Those two organizations stand head and shoulders above the rest when it comes to teaching young people leadership, and very applaudable for them. And I hope they stick with it. Great programs. Also, too, I do owe the public an apology. A couple of finance meetings ago, two meetings ago, I was not able to attend, and thank you for stepping in and on my behalf. So I would like to just make a little reminder to the board, especially the chairs, to kindly be respectful of work schedules, because I definitely want to be able to be a full participant, but hopefully we just keep work schedules in mind when planning future meetings. And thirdly, I know as part of a food committee, people were reaching out to me about the flyer, which it appears with Edison Township Public Schools on top. Do we have any further knowledge about that? Because it does seem like it was endorsed by Edison Public Schools, but being on the food committee, I didn't really know much about that. So,
yeah, Dr. Elderly.
Yeah, I did see a copy of that flyer. I can tell you that it was not submitted or approved by myself, was not disseminated in any way by a school official. I'm not sure how it kind of wound up in that capacity. It wasn't distributed to parents in any way. It was notification from a partnership in relationship to Maschio's and a local business. That correspondence only went to building principals, but I think the flyer that you're referencing is not the one that I approved, nor the one that went to principals.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Early. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for board member comments?
I do. Oh.
Ms. Peng.
Yeah, just we had a special ed committee meeting recently, and I heard a lot of great things about our pre-K program. Just want to say, great job, Dr. Tui and your team. I do have a follow-up question from the parents. So I heard that some of the kids in North Edison was assigned to South Amboy schools, and some of the South Edison kids are going to attending North Brunswick schools. I'm sure there's a reason for this, but I just want to, maybe you could use this opportunity to explain to the parents. Thank you.
You take this one, Doc.
Oh, I
no,
thought.
no, you got it, Doc.
You sure?
100%.
I'll sit back down. You're the
I'm all
boss.
good. I'm all good. You're going to say it better than me.
Yeah. Ms. Peng, both of those programs are Head Start programs. We learned through this process that the state and the federal government really want us to participate with Head Starts. We knew that going in, but because there's no Head Start programs within the boundaries of Edison, we thought we were good. Digging into it a little bit more deeply, realized that it really impacts our application and helps us move forward with providing pre-K to all of the students we placed if we participate with those two programs. Additionally, a number of the students that were identified for those programs, because in some cases it does require income eligibility, would not have been granted a seat otherwise. They would have been 3-year-olds tier 3, non-income eligible. So we not only kind of took steps towards providing the program to more students within Edison itself, but also provided some seats for some students who otherwise wouldn't have got it. It's also not uncommon. Both of those locations have classrooms from other school districts. Our children won't be sharing those classrooms, but Sayreville, South River send to the South Amboy location. So improves our chances from a grant perspective and provides seats where otherwise there would have been none. So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members?
I do.
Yes, Mr. Rivera.
So I want to start off positive in saying I want to thank our teachers and our school nurses for all the hard work you do for all of our youngsters in our district. I know my kid visits the school nurse at least once a week. For some reason, I don't know why, but he's there all the time. So I know he has a great relationship with her. But besides the teachers and the nurses, I do want to recognize our leadership team. Tomorrow's National Principals Day. So, we do have a lot of leaders out there that are working with our children every day, and they're guiding their buildings, they're directing the ship forward, so I do want to recognize them. I also want to say thank you to the Civil Air Patrol and the Boy Scouts. It takes a lot for kids to come out and publicly speak, so I want to thank them for their hard work. Even as adults, it's difficult to communicate at times, and I understand that, so kudos to our kids. And the last thing I just want to piggyback on some of the concerns Chris had, because I also received some stuff from parents, I should say, and actually it's actually posted in the building. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but the picture that I received was posted, and I could understand why you did not approve that and why you have a concern, because what's posted on that flyer is probably not appropriate.
Now, that's the first I'm hearing of it, so if you wouldn't mind, we could maybe talk offline.
Okay, but I'm just curious where this all stemmed, how there was this partnership, and if you could provide that information for us, we would appreciate it.
Yeah, I could follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members?
Board President.
Yes, Mr. Schneider.
We talked a little bit about buildings, and it sounds like, Board President, you're going to want to put forward some resolutions sooner than later regarding some projects. I just want to remind this board that we should really be working not just about what we can do today, because we have some money, but we don't have all the money that we need to do all the projects that we know the district needs. So I think that doesn't mean we shouldn't move forward with planning, right? So, for example, think about Edison High. The designs are here. Do we have the money right now? No, but we should be talking about it, and we should be figuring out how we could potentially finance things. And the simple answer might be we can't do it, because we can't do it all. We can't offer 0% to the taxpayers and then build as much as we want. But the priorities exist. We set the framework with that phase 1. In my tally, I think we have JMI, John Marshall, and some work at JAMS we need to get done to complete phase 1. Right? And then immediately phase 2 is the Edison High School. So between the last couple of years, I think we can do it. Certainly, it's not going to be easy financially, so we have to talk about that. I would expect the Finance Committee to dig into the different options. So again, just challenging my fellow board members to try to move this along, because every time we table things and delay, it's not good for us. We have to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. So I'll answer to that. So I don't know if we have enough time now in next week to bring things to the finance committee, right? Plus construction of moving forward with the construction of these projects. I think I cannot promise anything, but based on the timelines, and Dr. Aldrai and his team are super busy the last 2 months of the school year. So we'll need to have a board discussion about this at some point, probably a closed session discussion. Some of the items can be nailed down before that, such as information. I have sent every board member here, and if I missed out someone, I can resend it. Information on financing, which Mr. Toth has provided, on how the funding looks like. So if any board members has not got my email about the funding mechanism, let me know and I'll be happy to resend that. That's for the funding for the schools. That document specifically shows comparison of John Marshall and JMI. Phase 1, you're right, Mr. Schneider, includes John Marshall, JMI, and John Adams, which we have not touched yet. JMI is ready to go for bid now. It's already DOE approved. John Marshall, we approved today, now it will go for DOE approval. Once DOE approves that, we'll have an ability to bid. Certainly, before we go out for bid, there has to be money either in the bank account or on an escrow account or some kind of funding mechanism. So obviously we'll not be able to pass a resolution without understanding the funding mechanism. So of course, we as a board, every board member has to understand the funding mechanism. I'll work with Dr. Aldarali and his team to see how we can best deliver that so the board members understand that. But I would personally speak for JMI school is like ready to go for bid. So it's sitting out there, not getting on bid. So the faster the board approves, is going for bid. From what I understand for EHS, is correct me Mr. Toth if I'm wrong, but some design was remaining and we asked the architect to move forward with the design, correct?
Yeah, I think the architect, which is SSP, is just about finished with the schematics. So those are formal designs that go down to DOE for approval. I know they have, I think, maybe one more meeting or 2 more meetings to follow up with Mr. Ross and his staff, along with Mr. Kalabas, Dr. Aldarelli, and the other stakeholders involved from the building perspective.
Thank you so much. So the design for EHS is in progress, and there are meetings supposed to be happening with finalization of the design. So that's going on, right? What is on the table right now, ready to go for bid, is JMI. It's like ready. John Marshall is going for DOE approval. The DOE may approve, very likely it may approve. They may reject it. Something else could happen. We don't know yet at this point. The intent was to send John Marshall for approval. So when it comes back, we look at the money, how we allocate, in what way, and move forward with John Marshall. When EHS design comes back, the board will have to start working on that and make a decision sooner or later about EHS, what we want to do with that. But one thing that can go right now is JMI. Do we have money, cash, available for JMI? 100% yes. We have money for that. If the board decides to vote upon it, we are ready to do groundbreaking for JMI very soon. So in next few days, I look forward to reaching out to the board members, and I think I encourage everyone the financing questions as well. So reach out to Mr. Toth and any financing mechanism, any questions. It's always going to be 1 second, Mr. Rivera. It's always going to be helpful for the board members to know how the funding is going to happen. And how the future fundings can be allocated. So certainly those are all good questions to ask Mr. Toth. So let's give all the information out which we need to move forward with it. Thank you. Mr. Romano.
I believe.
Yeah, Mr. Rivera.
Yeah, thank you for the email. I appreciate that. But while we have Mr. Toth here, can you explain these 4 options? Do you have the document in front of you?
Yeah, I can pull that up. Hang on a sec.
You read my mind. I mean, I got the email, but I didn't understand it in and out.
Nothing.
So you don't, I mean, if you're okay, we can probably take it in a caucus meeting and discuss it, because I think all of us need to understand those options.
We will have to move forward before the caucus meeting, discuss something else. So
okay,
you may
that's
want to
fine.
hear
Yeah,
Mr.
go for
Toth
it,
out,
yeah.
and if
Yeah,
certainly
please,
we can connect with him later on if you still need more information.
Sounds good, yeah, thank you.
Do we have money for JMI?
Total dollar amount for JMI.
So, excuse me. Yes, you do. You just approved the budget, right? So the 2025 budget's been approved. Hypothetically, that could be opened, sometime during May at earliest for obviously next year's spending. So I believe JMI, and I don't have the figure in front of me, let's say it's $20 to $21 million, right? You got 30 allocated, so you could do that project. Where it gets tricky is then you got to go to Marshall, and if you want to do Marshall in the same time frame, you're going to need some additional funding.
So let me just, because, I'm just a dumb truck driver. But
Deer in headlights, right?
we have money for John Marshall, but we had nothing for, no, but we have money for JMI, but we don't have any money for John Marshall, and then we don't have any money for Edison High, but we got 0 tax increase. And it's J.P. Stevens. Do we have money for J.P. Stevens?
Which project, Mr. Romano?
I don't know. How many projects are going on at J.P.
So,
Stevens?
yeah, everything that's ongoing has, so like the classroom addition, auditorium, anything that's been awarded, the project's been fully encumbered, and the revenue
So
has
we
been
have that
appropriated.
money. That money's there.
Correct, yes.
Okay. That money is in the budget, or is that money that we're going to pay every year, money on that budget?
Right, so the money is in the capital projects budget, so like JP Classroom Edition, if you guys recall, we took approximately, I think, a $32 million loan, so obviously you close on the loan, much like a mortgage, right? And
We mortgaged that for J.P. Stevens.
we took
Then we have money for JMI? No, wait a minute. I'm asking a question now. Now, the floor is on my hand.
I would agree.
Yes, you have the floor, Mr.
You
Romano, you have the floor, go ahead.
You have money for J.P. Stevens. No, wait a minute. You don't have money for J.P. Stevens. You got a loan on that. Now, JMI, you don't need a loan. We have the money for that.
So the budget passed, so
I'm
that's what
just
I heard.
asking.
Correct, yes, that's accurate.
The people, the public, the people that are here, the people that are sitting at home on their couch.
Yeah. Sure, yes, Mr. Romano, should the board choose to move forward on JMI, the revenue is there allocated. Your project is in the long-range facilities plan, so yes, you could do that.
Okay, so we know that JMI, we can, and then we can finish doing, the money that we borrowed that the public, I hope the public knew about that. Wait a minute, does anybody, hope you didn't know about that. The question that I have, so let's go out and borrow some more money. I mean, we got people out here telling me now that, we're heroes. J.P. Stevens, 0 tax increase. Let's go out and borrow more money. I don't know, Mr. Toth, what do you think?
I mean, that's an option. It is. That is one path forward, right?
Can we borrow more money and have 0 tax increase?
Those things are challenging. I can only comment to the budget that we just approved, but, the following year's budget is, another challenge.
I'm just a dumb truck driver. I want to know, can we borrow money and not increase the taxes?
I'll never say never, Joe.
Thank you, sir. You have the floor is back to you.
From what I say, and I'm in a different profession, but I'm not a financial expert either, right? Still, I know at least this much, that there is money, cash, to pay for JMI. And even though we borrowed money last year for JP Stevens, not all the payments have been made yet. The payments will happen over time, and that's a reality. That's a fact. But at the same time, we still were able to do 0%. And in my speech earlier, I said, well, a large part of it is because of the state aid. Now, will things change in the future? Things may change in the future. And we have to be cognizant of everything. Let me finish, Mr.
Let's
Roman.
borrow more money and forget about state aid. Hope we're going to get more.
Well, if we have to borrow money for our facilities, we have to do that where it's needed. If we have to do that. I'm not saying we go and borrow money right now. It depends. We may have to borrow money for other schools. Otherwise, we'll be dragging behind. Our age-old infrastructure facilities and ailing infrastructure is a concern to the students who go in the building every day. The staff members who live in that building every day, who spend hours and hours. When next month is going to get hotter, all the new additions is going to come with air condition. The temperature inside those new additions will be much better. There are children of several recreation programs. I will tell you one: basketball, volleyball. All those children play in our gym. They do tournaments. We don't want them to go to New Brunswick. I know some children who go to New Brunswick, North Brunswick, Piscataway, and all those play in all those leagues. No, we want them to play in our facilities in Edison. When JMI students, and this is coming from the principal. I had a conversation with principal when I toured JMI. The JMI students, when they have concerts, when they have other things going on, they go to different schools. Those parents have to go to different school for their concerts. Those students have to go to different school. Why do they have to go to a different school? It's still Edison school, but they have to travel to a different school. We want, if possible, to give them an auditorium, a gym, or anything else in their school. JMI and JMP can share those things. Marshall, the students are in trailers. JMI students are in trailers. If we see those conditions of the trailers, I did not grow up studying in trailers myself. Why would I want to make a decision for students, if at all it was up to me, to study in trailers? There was a time, there was a need when students had to study in trailers. Whether it's EHS, JMI, John Marshall, or any schools. We don't want students to study in trailers. The sooner they get back into better classrooms and better facilities across the board is better. Yes, as a board, we have to plan it financially, but this plan, which was started before a few years, and Mr. Schneider, yes, you said in phase 1 that you had all the schools. We should not stop working towards the plan. The upgrade of the facilities and the infrastructure should continue. So I look forward for the board to work and move forward with certain plans in coming days.
So,
Mr. Rivera.
Mr. Toth, you have 4 options on how we could fund JMI and John Marshall.
Yep.
And I think what the question was, like, we received just the document. I think we just want to hear your expertise on how you would go about these 4 options and what you felt would be the best option for us as a board to take.
Right. So, it's funny, I don't even have my own document in front of me right now, but I'll go from memory. I think it was the tune of like $53 million to combine 2 projects. I think the first 2 items were, one was funding it with a portion of capital reserve and capital outlay, and the other was for a loan. And they were inverted, a loan for $30 million versus using capital of 20 and vice versa, items 1 and 2. Items, and you could see the difference basically in the loan payment in those 2 items. Items 3 and 4, where they're utilizing your capital, obviously the same total amount of funds, but inverse 30/20, along with a shared service and a bond payment, which would be a bond. Someone's issuing a bond and a shared service, right? So, and then making that bond payment over a bond period is 30 years. So obviously, the payment's going to be
Minimal.
I wouldn't say it's not minimal, but like $1 million is. In $360 million is in a very reasonable payment.
So you're saying we have viable options, we could get 2
Yeah, I
projects
think you guys all, right, all the board members here, along with the collective public, right, you guys have an interest in doing all these projects, which you should, right? The kids deserve it. There's a lot of options. There's more options than just this. But collectively, we have to have those discussions, right? Because realistically, we're not going to be able to keep funding things with just outlay and reserve, because our other operating costs, contracts, healthcare, insurance, out-of-district tuitions, out-of-district support services, right, in-district support services, those costs are going up. So you're going to need that state aid. It's eventually going to flatten out. I'm assuming maybe next year. I hope I'm wrong. And you're going to have to do something on the other side of the equation, because if you see where we're at in that budget document, our local fair share should be at about $260. So, you always want to be able to do as much as you can, but with minimal impact to the taxpayer. So that's why you have to look at all these different options. There's probably more. This was just a couple hours, me running through some ideas. There's more to it than that, and we can do that in finance or some other committee.
Well, thank you for your efforts.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other board member comments? Seeing none, we'll open up for public comments. Maria.
Hi, Maria Orchid, 83 Jefferson.
deputy.
Recognized.
Thank you.
You're different here than council meetings, so you're good.
I don't- The first thing I wanted to say is congratulations to the Civil Air Academy. I'm a mother of Edison alumni graduate, Army National Guard, and I know the structure and the leadership and the quality of these programs. I would say every Wednesday at 5:30 on the Armory in Woodbridge on Main Street is open to any student 16 years old to 30, and they give them a free workout, and they do. The second thing I wanted to say is thank you to all the volunteers that come to the Edison Environmental. We're having a cleanup, Thomas Edison Memorial Tower on June 9th. Thank you to all the volunteers from our Edison and J.P. Stevens and the middle schools, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. They're all valuable and definitely needed. The last thing I wanted to say is the DEI was excellent. I wish we can have more programs like that throughout the Edison wonderful 19 school systems and showcase all of our students of diversity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Beth.
Beth Talke, 15 Midwood Avenue. Couple questions. It is May 1st tomorrow. Just wanted to see what the updates were on bids put out for brokers for health insurance for employees, because it's getting to that time of year. We have like 36 days left of school, to see how that's going. And secondly, I have a couple questions about the preschool transportation. Now hearing, because I really thought that our schools were going to be all housed within Edison, but hearing that they're not. To our transportation people up there, are the buses that are going to be providing transportation for these children, I'm going to call them babies because to me they are 3 and 4-year-olds, going to be Edison buses? If that's the case, we know we've had a shortage of buses in town just to get our kids who, you know, need to get to school. The state mandated school programs as of now, we've had trouble with that. And on all of these buses, being now that these kids are going to be traveling far to go to different schools in different towns, are we going to ensure that there will be proper car seats for these 3 and 4-year-olds on all of this transportation for these kids? Those are my questions. I'm sure
Thank
I'm
you.
probably not going to get answers.
No,
'cause-
I'm going to answer.
Oh, I'm going to get
Yes.
some? Yeah, and you know, just because of that too, now hearing tonight that we're going to be traveling pretty far out of, town during rush hour early in the morning to get these kids to preschools in North Brunswick, and I believe we said South Amboy. What time are these kids going to be picked up, these little 3 and 4-year-olds? Is it going to start at 6 o'clock in the morning?
So that adds to the question, right? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
That's it.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. So, Ms. Talge, I did announce in my finance report that the insurance RFPs are due May 1st, which is tomorrow. So when Mr. Toth and his team gets the RFP, they do their own work first, and then they will present it to the committee. So that's happening in next few days. We look forward to working with Mr. Toth on that. So that's the answer to that question. Now, all the other questions were related to preschool transportation. Dr. Tuhi is the one spearheading the whole preschool program. If you don't mind Dr. Tuhi coming and answering some questions, you can do that.
We don't have
Or you can speak to Ms.
Yeah,
Talke.
Ms. Talke,
Does that help?
Dr. Tui will follow up with you.
Okay. All right, next for public comments. Mr. Shi.
So, Jerry Shea Edison, I have the same concern about the preschool busing, and some of the daycares are pretty small. I don't know if these 52-passenger bus can actually get there. So how long is it going to take for the kids to get there? So just to go back to some of the committee reports, through the chair to the facility committee, Chair Doug Schneider, you mentioned that the stuff that the table was discussed in your meeting. I did not see JMI, the turf field, And the other stuff in the meeting summary, it's only bathroom. Just to, since Mrs. White is not here, just to want to follow up about the traffic lights at the Woodrow Wilson. It's been going on for 4 years, so where is it? For the Transportation Committee, where is the bus tracking software? Is it ready to be used for our students? The other thing is, just want to talk about the demographic study. It was mentioned, but I didn't see anything was mentioned in the liaison committee. If I remember, the demographer came over here. He said he did not get enough data. So we all know garbage in, garbage out. So how valuable is that demographic study? Obviously, board vice president had concerns. So, so moving forward with a long-range facility plan, how valuable that is, how much you can use that data. I hear Dr. Alderelli quoting some of the data in your response to the Township Liaison Committee, so I don't know how accurate that is if we all have, board vice president or board members have issues with that report. And, Biro, you mentioned the JMI school. JMI was ready to go to bid in January. Right now, we're in end of April. Okay. When we originally planned GMI was $18 million, or $18 or $19 million. Now it's $21 million. So what is a holdup? We have the money, ready to go. There's no wrong decisions when it comes to adding classroom to our schools. No wrong decision. We have pre-Ks, we have full-day kindergartens. We need classrooms. There are 4 schools in our school district has trailers. J.P. Stevens, John Adams, JMI, and the latest is Marshall. These schools, the trailers need to go. I think some of the trailers are as old as when Joe Romano was first on the board. More than 10 years ago. That was a long time ago. We need these trailers to be gone.
They were outdated every time you turn around.
Yes.
Vice President, let the speaker finish and then you can answer.
Yeah,
Let him finish.
I do. Every year we send out this non-confirmed, confined classroom to extend this. We cannot do that. Our kids are going to these classrooms. J.P. Stevens has at least five classrooms that's in trailers. Okay? So for the people on the facility committee, what are you guys doing? What is a holdup? Your brother-in-law is running for ETA president. One of his things is, quality of life of teachers are diminishing because the facility is no good. Okay, who's advocating for him? His brother-in-law is not even advocating for him. You're stopping the JMI expansion. In the last minute of J.P. Stevens expansion, you want to stop it. So for those people in J.P. Stevens and JMI, none of you guys should be voting for Doug Schneider's, Bill Donner for ETA president, because his brother-in-law cannot even do it when he was a board president, okay? And I also heard, you mentioned about some of the bids. It's on the committee that you bidded on the architects. So for anyone who goes to Lincoln School, go to the gym, take a look at the wall. Take a look at the wall in the gym and tell me if that was well designed, if the wall is supposed to be. If you don't like it, why would you want to bring the architect back? The architect did not bid it, okay? There's a reason he did not bid it. But you should not reopen up the bid because this guy did not bid it. Go to Lincoln School and look at the wall. That school was amended when Doug Schneider was the board president. Okay? So people, if you like the wall, vote for Bill Donner. If you don't like the wall, don't vote for Bill Donner. His own brother-in-law cannot even advocating for you guys. Okay? You're talking, the other point is about the contract. I'm asking the non-certified staff in the district, put a hand in front of your heart. Tell me, this contract, is this the best contract you have received in the past 10 years? Okay? Is this the best contract you received in the past 10 years? Non-certified staff. I have multiple contract negotiations, never seen him. So, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. So the architect, I will respond because architect RFP in the finance committee we asked to do, and the results were received back. And Mr. Toth and his team, in my opinion, has done all the preliminary work and ranking. Now we'll have to see as a board what we want to do. Some architects applied. From the existing architect, the 2 architects who applied were DMR and SSP, right? So there are other architects which as a board has to review RFP, and then it will go for board approval if the board decides to move forward with the architect. You want to say something, Mr. Romano?
It wouldn't make any sense. Go
Okay.
right ahead, do what you
All
gotta
right.
do.
Next, Joyce.
Jerry Ship Freeman, 41 South Main Street in Edison. With the shared services, with you working with the town, will you guys be taking the brunt of the amount of money, so when they form their budget, they'll just put other stuff on your name rather than you guys having a zero budget? All right. Number 2, the master plan, I adore Virginia White because she's sincere in the stuff she does, but you guys gonna be waiting on that master plan because I've been waiting on it for about 2 years myself. So thank you for that. And I wanted to know about the money that we are borrowing. I wanted to know the percentage on it and how much are we borrowing to offset the tax increase, because I noticed for a fact that if we keep kicking it down the road, and depending on how much we're borrowing and the percentage rate, that I don't want it to all come in this hit, the senior citizens all at one time. That bothers me a whole lot, So I'm very, very disturbed about that, because I don't want, because I know the town is borrowing 2 tons of money. So if you guys are borrowing money too, 2025 or 2026, one of them is going to be a major debt at all. And I love it that we have the blinking lights for the Edison High, but I'm still waiting on sidewalks in this town. I don't know. They have a thing about sidewalks, and we wouldn't have as much traffic at our schools if we had sufficient sidewalks, because you would let your kid walk to school because they would have a sidewalk to walk on. And let's see, the Lutheran school is now going to be an alternative school, so will that be ready in September for our students at all? And, let's see. Okay, I got that, the master plan. All right, I just wanted to know those about the borrowed money and the interest. And one last question. How much you guys are spending on your website? That's my last question. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. So shared services, I'd love to answer that. So yes, you know what, in a way you're correct. The township bonds, but they bond, we make the payments still. It's the school district which makes the payment, but because of the agreement that some residents, the youth leagues, and they all use our facilities, which they are using anyways, the school district benefits with that methodology. Our BA has to still look into it. They're going to speak with the bond council, so we'll have more details. But from what it appears like right now, I wouldn't personally miss out on the deal. That it's still the taxpayers, everyone is paying for it, but it's a good way to distribute the resources out, distribute the funding out, and move forward with our projects. And yes, it's borrowing. There was money borrowed last year for a project. We will potentially have to borrow for the schools, but it is for our children. Our children go to the schools every single day. They're without their condition, in trailers, in classrooms which are, and I compare 2 schools sometimes. You go to James Monroe, right, and look at the class. Now you go to Marshall and look at the class. Why would a kid in Edison Township Public School have two different views? Someday they got to have same and better facilities. Same thing goes with both the high schools, all the middle schools. Some schools have very good parking lots. Some schools don't. Some schools have excellent gyms. Some schools don't. Some schools can do their own programs in their own gyms. The staff member working there are lucky probably, right, Sue? So some schools do not have that kind of gym. When John Adams' gym is going to be built, after that, they're going to have a nice new gym. They will not have an auditorium, right? John Adams does not have, they did not choose to have auditorium. But the other right. But the other schools will have the auditorium. So either way. So, it's all if we do the borrowing, that's for the kids, for the facilities, for the students. So I really wanted to answer that. How bored, perhaps I myself, if I put myself 6 years back, I would ask the same question. Oh, why is this borrowing? Why is that borrowing? But now when we see the kids and the staff and everyone, I think there is a need. So, next for public comments, Sue.
Susan Campione, Edison. First off, I just wanted to shout out to all of my fellow people that keep the buildings running in all the offices. It was Administrative Professionals Day last Wednesday, and many buildings did celebrate us, so I just wanted to shout everybody out. But I wanted to take a minute to remind all of the seniors that the ETEA scholarship deadline has been extended to this Friday to get the applications in either to me or your guidance counselors, and they will get it to me. And I wanted to take a minute to thank Dr. Aldarelli and Dr. Huff for, on very short notice, getting permission and information out to the students that it was extended so that we can make sure we have winners at both schools for all the scholarships. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Terry wants to know how much. So, okay. There's four, there's actually 3 scholarships at each building. A future nurse at each building gets $500, and a future teacher at each building gets $500, and then there's a main scholarship at each building, and student that wins gets $2,000. It's $500 each year for the 4 years of school.
Thank you. So the scholarships are the best thing. So I know our food vendor and architect are also doing scholarship for the kids. I hope lots of businesses in Edison, some of them make a lot of money. I hope they do scholarship for our kids and our kids can benefit out of that. So hoping for that. Anyone else, board member comments? Mr. Ross.
Good evening, everybody. I appreciate your time. As always, it's great to have the board meetings here at Edison High. And while I've got 6 minutes, they didn't even start the clock. That's never be enough time to say everything about what's great about Edison High. But today I want to highlight just a couple of things. First off, we had our girls lacrosse senior night that we won today, 14-7. It was like almost every senior scored today. But most importantly, all 11 seniors are going off to college. We've got a girl playing at Felician. We've got somebody playing at Kane. Our goalie's going to Cornell. Just another example of how athletics and student athletics works together to build these young people up. So congratulations to that. And I would be remiss in terms of shouting out people if I didn't mention someone who's retiring after years and years of service to the district and who for the past seems like 10 years has served as my right hand, my executive secretary, Miss Cindy Bauer. Ms. Bauer, I would have to thank her for being a friend, for making sure that I show up to meetings with my bosses on time and making sure that my paperwork is correct, and for always making sure that I clean out the coffee pot at the end of the day. Ms. Bauer, thank you so much, and a great job, and I appreciate our visitors from J.P. Stevens in the auditorium because they've been great guests, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. I have a request for you, and I did speak about this with Heather and Dr. Aldarelli. And since Mr. Han is here, I see his post acknowledging the students about all the sports and all the activities. Sometimes when I see that, I read, oh, when did this game happen? When did this event happen? So if you can please let us know if we have time, we'll stop by to one of those games. We'll love to stop by, so let us know. We used to get the calendar, but we don't see it anymore.
You should have the month at a glance that should be going out. I'll make sure that you get a copy of that. I'll pass it through Ms. Timon. And Monday, we've got an opening round game of the GMCs. And, we've got, let's see, some volleyball playoffs coming up as well. But we'll make sure we get that out to you.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Anyone else? Public comments? Yeah, you're right. All right, saying none. Jerry, your time was up. No, we only have 6 minutes now. Right? The attorney, Matt Minch, has specified.
So you only
that.
get one opportunity in public session. You used your 6 minutes, and you released your time, so you don't have another opportunity to speak.
Yeah, so Mr. Minch had looked at the policy and he has advised that. Right. It's not transparent. Mr. Minch had looked at the policy and did mention to the board this is 6 minutes. So if you had few seconds, you want to go for that, I can let you go for that. But we have to make same for everyone. Anyways, saying none. All right. Saying none. Motion to end public comments.
Motion.
Second. Right. All in favor? Right. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.